All right, here we are, day 2 of SEC Media Days / SEC Tip-Off 26 / whatever we're calling it. At this given hour, Jack Pilgrim here with Zack Geoghegan. We had Mark Pope, had the Kentucky guys on day 1, John Calipari, Nate Oates, some of the bigger headline guys, but still some juice today. Here on day 2, Todd Golden, the Florida Gators, the defending national champions, Rick Barnes.
My favorite guy right now,
yeah,
Todd Golden.
We got to chat about that. We have Rick Barnes, Tennessee here, and then several others of substance. The dentist, we can't forget about the dentist. Quick takeaways. What did you learn from day 2 here as we depart after it felt like we just arrived in Birmingham, but now here we are on our way out. What did you learn today?
What did I learn today? So we're kind of cutting today short. We're about halfway through today's stuff, but we got 6 hours to get back to Kentucky, so we're getting the hell out of here. So we got about halfway through. We got 4 men's coaches, 4 women's coaches today. Yes, we got, did you name them all? Todd Golden, Rick Barnes, Chris Jans. Who else did we get?
It'll be 8 men's coaches.
Today, though.
Yeah.
Who else did we get?
We've seen?
Yeah, who else did we get? Golden, Barnes, Chris Jans.
Stephen Pearl.
And Stephen Pearl. Ooh, yes. We should probably
Pearl.
start with him. Yes, Mr. Stephen Pearl. So, he took the stage first. He pretty much just said it was pretty much all Bruce Pearl talk. I think maybe the biggest newsy part to me, maybe I didn't know, it might have already been reported, but it was about 2 weeks before the actual decision for Pearl, for Bruce to step down, that it kind of got set into motion, which is still kind of 6 weeks before your season starts. So still an interesting kind of timeline for all that. But yeah, so we got to hear from Stephen Pearl. He had plenty of good stuff to say, but like I said, there's a lot of Bruce Pearl stuff. I think the biggest thing that I actually took away from today, other than the whole Denzel Aberdeen, Todd Golden situation that Jack will be happy to talk about here in a second, was Rick Barnes talking about the kind of the state of basketball in itself. He was asked about kind of piggying off of what John Calipari said yesterday about it, if once it becomes transactional, he's kind of going to hang it up like that. And Rick Barnes, his big thing was the lower level of basketball right now, like when you're in middle school and elementary school, stinks right now. Like that was kind of his takeaways. We're just not teaching the fundamentals right now. Everyone's obsessed with dunks and three-pointers, and there's not enough fundamentals going on right now, and pretty much the Europeans are lapping America in terms of basketball development from a young age. So that was something he pointed out. That's not exactly a news-breaking talking point, but it's always interesting when a head coach of a big-time program like that says something like that, because he gets to see it with his own eyes. He's been recruiting for however many long, so he's seen the actual, I guess, decline in a sense of traditional fundamentals in the youth basketball in America. And it's something he wants to see change. So that was my biggest takeaway, I'd say.
Yeah, and going back to Stephen Pearl, I thought it was interesting that he said that the administration knew that a decision was coming the day before practice from Bruce Pearl, one way or the other. That Bruce had told the administration, I will be telling you the day before practice starts if I'm retiring from the sport, or I will be your men's basketball head coach for at least the next season. Beyond that, who knows? So the fact that it was enough of this decision, and this, as Zack said, had been going back weeks and weeks and weeks, I thought that was kind of interesting that we never heard that publicly. There were whispers because politics stuff and him wanting to be a senator, and like we knew that he was considering other options, but I didn't know that there was a line in the sand. Hey, I'm in or out on the day before practice, and either my son will be the head coach or I will be the head coach tomorrow. So I thought that part was very interesting. Elephant in the room. Speaking.
Well, before we get into that whole part, because it is kind of funny, Chris Jans acknowledged the dentist as his nickname, I did kind of like that. So he said he didn't come up with it. He didn't know where it came from, but he liked it. And to be honest with you, that's all I remember from Chris Jans's 12-minute interview session.
Except for Josh Hubbard. I feel like there was the Josh Hubbard.
You have to talk to Josh Hubbard. So what I guess tie that all together for us.
So Josh Hubbard, all SEC talent, back-to-back years, a part of 2 really, really fun Kentucky-Mississippi State games where Josh Hubbard just kind of willed Mississippi State into the finish line, saying, "Hey, we're trading blows back and forth."
Not across the finish line, though.
Kentucky, unfortunately for his part, very fortunately for us, did enough at the very end to win both of those matchups. But he was, the thorn in Kentucky's side for both. And I think there's just kind of an elephant in the room that, hey, you're at Mississippi State, you're an all-SEC talent back-to-back years. When are you going to Duke or Kentucky or North Carolina or one of the bigger brands? And I thought it was kind of cool that Chris Jans said, no, that was, I was with him every single day, never even sniffed the portal. I asked Josh Hubbard, why didn't you sniff the portal? It would, when you have so much of that noise in your ears, how do you not kind of listen and go, well, how much money would be out there if I were to decide to go portaling? What types of options would I have on the table? He said never even a million years would have ever considered anywhere other than Starkville. So just kind of a cool loyalty thing, seeing, kind of a superstar player and his coach kind of just locked at the hip and saying, hey, no, we're in step with one another. That's how it should be. So I did like that.
I imagine he got another nice little pay raise as well this offseason to prevent those other teams from maybe poaching him.
Well, speaking of pay raises and other teams poaching other star players, Denzel Aberdeen and Todd Golden did not go well today. The conversation with Todd Golden about Denzel Aberdeen, it's never easy for any coach to talk about a departing player and what another team, especially in the conference, is getting from your guy. It makes sense that there would be some bad blood there for Denzel Aberdeen, but didn't expect it to go the way it did. So I asked the question. I said, hey, Denzel's been relatively transparent about just there was a breakup. There was a breakup, and it happened after this meeting. He goes into the meeting and says, hey, I'm expecting to be back as a Florida Gator, picking up where Walter Clayton and Elijah, they left. I'm going to step in and be that guy next season. The meeting ends, and he enters the transfer portal right away. It's like, whoa, well, what happened in that meeting? The closest we've gotten Denzel Aberdeen to confirm what we all know: money. It's money, guys. Just so we're telling the story accurately. We heard from Denzel's dad that the negotiations didn't go well. That's the closest we've gotten. And with Aberdeen, he said himself said that the meeting just didn't go as planned. And he kind of knew after that there was a line in the sand, and it wasn't going to be a fit any longer. So he kind of gave the politically correct version of it, and the closest we got with Dad was negotiation. So I just kind of said, hey, Todd, what did happen in the falling out? And he kind of said, well, you said he was transparent, so what did happen? I was like, well, wasn't necessarily saying he was transparent about the what specifically, more so the when, that they clearly knew that after the meeting happened there was no going back. He was entering the transfer portal and leaving. So why? He was like, well, you tell me why.
It's like, do you want me to say the word money?
We all know what it was. Just kind of give your coach speak version of that. That's all I'm asking. And then he goes and gives the coach speak version, but says that Denzel, every player has things that are important to them when making decisions. And for Denzel, their visions did not align on what that looked like. So said that he wanted things that didn't align with just winning a national championship, which goes against a lot of what we've heard about Denzel since then, and what Pope has said about Denzel since then, and what Denzel has said about what he cares about since then. So I feel like there's some bad blood. It just feels like it was a breakup gone wrong, but Todd definitely a little bitter about how things unfolded.
Yeah, you could tell he was, I don't know if upset is the right word, but it was tense. Yeah, you could tell that he wanted you to say the word money, is in my opinion, that's kind of what he was asking for, so he could maybe pounce on that part of it, but you didn't take that bait at least. So but then he went into his coach speak part, and you're right. The interesting point was people have different stuff that's important to them, so maybe he was trying to imply that maybe money was the more important thing for Denzel in that part, but we don't really know. We don't know what the actual contract looks like anyways, or the NIL deals and all that. So, but we talked to some of his old teammates, talked to Thomas Hoff, Alex Condon, Ruben Chinyelu, all had great things to say about Denzel. Thomas in particular was like, yeah, like that's my guy. Like we still talk, we FaceTime, we play video games all the time. It's like, I'm excited to play them. I think they played twice this year, right? Florida and Kentucky played twice this year. So you'll get that whole, it'll be interesting to see, I guess, how the handshake line goes with that one. With all the players, it seems like it'll be okay. Maybe Todd Golden will be maybe he'll do the old who did the thing where they pinched Xavier Wheeler's neck.
Tom Crean. Pinching.
We might get one of those again. Still one of the weirder things that's ever happened in the last 5 years of Kentucky basketball. But yeah, that was very strange. So we might get one of those little interactions. But all the players at least had great things to say about Denzel. And it by all accounts, it seems like he's a good kid. You're just kind of in this different world now where it's not all about basketball. I'm sorry, it's not. So, but it was fun stuff. It's all enlightening, and we're learning a little bit along the way.
Asked Alex Condon about the same thing, and he was like, he said, it's on Valentine's Day, the return trip to Gainesville at the O-Dome. how do you think fans? And he was like, oh, fans are going to boo him. Fans are not going to love Denzel. But he was like, but I love Denzel. I am excited to see him again and all that stuff. So yeah, definitely a ton of love on the player side of things. But oof. Tension you could just cut with scissors there talking about Denzel at the podium, and unfortunately I was
and yeah, it's very similar to the Travis Perry situation. Like,
good point.
Maybe not with the obvious tension between the head coach and player. Pope did, kind of basically said that we wanted Travis back, and that just didn't work out. I mean, kind of very similar situation. Denzel's also homegrown from Florida, played there, went there, obviously won a national championship. Now you got the whole Travis Perry situation. Do you think Travis Perry's going to get booed when he comes in, when Ole Miss comes to Lexington? I think so. I would assume that it'll
10,000%.
It'll be a mixed thing, but there will be half that stadium will be booing Travis Perry, and it's not because they don't like him. That's just, like I said, that's just college sports. Like you leave rival team for another, or you leave your home state team for an in-state or a in-conference rival. That's just what's going to happen. So, but yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, Rick Barnes. I to wrap up our day individually, the reason why we're standing in front of this warehouse thing, whatever this is, because
between the hotel,
because there's an SEC logo over there that we just thought would be a perfect backdrop for this. Bucky McMillan will not go the hell away.
Yeah,
I love you.
Shoot over there.
I love you, Bucky, but come on, Bucky Ball, move it inside. We got stuff to do with this rapid reaction. Sponsored by Friends of Cole, by the way. We'll talk about them in just a moment. But Rick Barnes, a lot of kind of big picture. He just signed a lifetime contract. Definitely kind of soaking in the, hey, I'm the OG of the SEC. I'm kind of one of the godfathers of college basketball. You got to ask me how many teams should be in the NCAA tournament. You got to ask me what the future holds for the sport. You got to ask the big picture questions to him. So I thought he handled that well. But a lot of talk about Jacoby Gillespie and the transition from Zakai Ziegler, who I think Rick Barnes has said 1,000 times that that's his favorite player he's ever coached, and kind of a one-of-one talent and kid of heart and guy that we absolutely can't stand here at Kentucky, but a very important figure to Tennessee basketball, and how Gillespie was going to kind of replace that. And that was 5 years of Zakai there. How can Jacoby kind of be his own person in 1 year, but filling those little shoes, but big shoes in a metaphorical sense. So I enjoyed kind of hearing that there is a lot of praise for Jacoby Gillespie, PG1 this upcoming season, but also a lot of talk about Nate Ament.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, I don't remember anything that he said about Nate Ament, so I'm going to go ahead and hand the mic back to you and let you talk about that, because I was definitely transcribing stuff when he said all that.
Nate Ament, familiar face for Kentucky, obviously. Kentucky hosted him on an official visit, but just said that Nate Ament at 6'10", people don't make shots the way he does. People don't move the way he does. People don't defend and rebound and do kind of all of the inside-out stuff that Nate is capable of doing. And, there's a massive question mark at the 2 spot for Tennessee. It's kind of like the unspoken thing that, hey, they have one perfectly set up and they have 3 through 5 set up and they have a deep front court. Like, it feels like they have every question answered outside of that magical 2 spot, hoping that Nate can step in and be like, hey, is he good enough? He's 6'10", and be kind of a wonky, like he's more of a wing forward, but hey, he's skilled. Can he be the Chaz Lanier replacement? And the vibe that I got hearing from Rick Barnes, the vibe I got talking to the players, is that Nate is more than capable, and they think that he's the kind of this generational talent. It sucks that it comes at Kentucky's, at the expense of Kentucky, because Kentucky hosted him and really wanted him badly, and he's going to be a potential star in the SEC for a rival. But I did, that was an interesting thing for me. Nate Ament is a good one.
Yeah, he absolutely is, and I got to watch him a bunch in high school. I would have loved to have him at Kentucky. I think he's more of a long-term type guy. Like, he's really going to start to hit his stride once he gets a couple years into the NBA. So maybe that is like your one saving grace if you're looking at it from a Kentucky angle, that maybe he just won't be completely ready to dominate and be an all-SEC player, step right into that role, or he very well could be, because it seems like Rick Barnes finds ways to put his shooters and scorers in good position to shoot and score. Or at least over the last few years, we've seen that in particular. And he had this guy named Kevin Durant as well a long time ago, who's obviously similar type of body style to Nate Ament. Obviously not anywhere near the player he is, but so you can kind of see the blueprint of what Rick Barnes is thinking there. And I'm sure they're going to have a very tough and annoying team to deal with this year.
Before we wrap up, I did ask Felix Akpara about, hey, fun back and forth with Kentucky last year. Unfortunately, we got the brunt of that at the very end, but 2 very fun regular season matchups. What was that like? And he said, we knew that we weren't going to lose 3 times in a row. That was like, priority number 1 forever. Hey, Kentucky cannot beat us 3 times in a row. Said that Rick Barnes came up with an unbelievable game plan, and they felt really, really good going into that one. It hurt hearing it in real time about how confident they were and how they were just like, hey, we let the first 2. See that SEC sign, people over there, just being so distracting. But there was, a lot of not gloating, but like, hey, we knew that we messed up the first 2 rounds, and we were not going to mess up the round 3. And then talked about this, upcoming year, how that was definitely a game they had circled on their calendar, and very much looking forward to kind of the renewing that rivalry, knowing how much juice is in it, especially after this past season, the new era of Mark Pope, how they're a part of it, and all that. So a lot of fun stuff there from Felix Okpara, but. Yeah, that wraps us up here from day 2. Any big picture takeaways that you want to get out before we wrap up from the 2-day event? Anything that was left marinating from yesterday that you just want to get off your chest right now?
No, I'm sure I'll think of something in the next 6 hours when I'm staring down the highway, trying to keep my eyes open. But big fan of this event overall. We've had it in this ballroom. Now this is the 3rd year, at least in a row for me, that I've been able to do this, and it is funny looking up and seeing a bunch of chandeliers just kind of hanging around. Yeah. We were talking to the moderator right before we left, who's kind of the guy that like dishes out all the questions. He's like, "Oh, y'all are leaving?" He's like, "Well, we kind of need people to talk to Porter Mosier when he's the very last person to come on tonight because the place is going to thin out."
I've had my fair share of asking coaches about their former players. I'm not asking Porter Mosier about Otega Oweh. I'm good on that.
Yeah, probably smart. We already did that whole bit last year anyway. So, but yeah, so the event's really fun. Had some cheesecake before I left. Shout out cheesecake. A lot of Dr. Pepper blackberry running around in this place.
Is that a Ramel Bradley reference?
Yes. I can bring out some KSR references as well. A lot of Dr. Pepper blackberry running around this place, which I didn't realize is a real thing. Not any good, if I'm being honest with you. Please don't watch this SEC.
I don't mind it.
Jack was into it. He was having the zero brand of it with the fake sugar. I guess maybe that gave it a little bit of a spike. Big fan of this event. It was awesome. And now we're going to travel 6 hours back home to our old Kentucky home.
You know what I'm a big fan of? Speaking of our old Kentucky home, Friends of Coal. Friends of Coal is dedicated to informing and educating Kentucky citizens about the coal industry and its vital role in the state's future. We provide a united voice for an industry that has been and remains a critical economic contributor to Kentucky. By working together, we can provide good jobs and benefits for future generations. Coal is resilient, reliable, and affordable. Friends of Coal is a volunteer organization. All are invited to be a part of this organization, which consists of proud Kentuckians as well as residents from beyond our borders. Head to friendsofcoalkentucky.org to learn more. I'm a proud Kentuckian. I'm a proud Kentuckian leaving SEC Media Days. Appreciate everybody following along with our coverage and all of the coverage to come, because we will definitely be, stretching this as wide and thin as possible as we get to Blue-White game on Friday, and then after that, here we go, baby. We got Purdue on October 24th, and that is going to be a good one for Jack Pilgrim, for Zack Geoghegan, for that SEC logo over there that's finally empty. We could have just been doing that the whole time. We'll see you next time. Go Cats.